You know who isn't losing up front right now? Yeah, South
No.
Carolina. The softball team is 11-0, and Ashley Chastain's first season back in a uniform. She joins us now, and they just took down the North Carolina Tar Heels a couple of nights ago, 11-3, the final score. And I think what happened in that game for the first time this season, Qunicee Lilio got out.
I was going to say Q's already on base.
Yeah,
I don't know why we're.
I think she was retired in that game for the first time we've seen since February it came around. What's up, man? How you doing, Coach?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good to see you.
Well.
Good to see y'all.
11-0 and in the top 25. Were those your expectations?
Well, I think internally they were always our expectations, but it's been a fun few weeks. Needless to say, they've been playing really well, and just really proud of them. I mean, proud of a lot of individuals on the team, but really just the collective group. I think you've seen a lot of excitement, a lot of exciting games. A lot of run rules at this point. Some games where we were behind and came back, and it's just been quite the first 11, I will say.
So that's the one, actually, believe it or not, that's the one real question I had for you. If there's something you probably are saying we need to improve, like all the things, you're a coach, so there's probably a laundry list of stuff you actually want to see improve, but the top thing, ladies, we can't be down 3-0 in the first inning, because I think y'all did that twice to Virginia, and then you did it to North Carolina, came back and won all the games.
Yeah.
But at some point in time, that's going to bite you, especially playing in this league.
Yeah. We've had some talk about that for sure. I think, the start for the season, the first game against Virginia on opening night. Yeah. I said afterwards, I felt like they were just really tight to start the game defensively. And, we made a lot of just really, just kind of crazy mistakes defensively that first game. And I was saying, I was like, I promise we've practiced like almost every day since the summer. But they've been really good since then defensively. So I think it was just kind of, just kind of that feel that you get when you start the season, especially in our situation right now. And, but yeah, I did tell them, I was like, we did not script out getting behind 3 runs in the top of the first. Like, we have not practiced that, since the summer. But I just, sometimes the game happens like that. We talk a lot about how no game's ever the same, and we're going to win in a lot of different ways. And we have so far in the first 2 weeks. But, I'm proud of them. They've really fought back and showed a lot of toughness, behind middle of the game. And, all of a sudden we just, string some stuff together offensively and we have a big inning, and it's just like the belief is just really there, that we can really win. So it's been fun. It's been really exciting. I'm really proud of, Qunicee Lilio is, I definitely think, a highlight for me personally, since we started the season, and is definitely getting a lot of recognition across the board. But, we really felt like that she could be our leadoff hitter through the fall. That was something that we were kind of anticipating. But just to see her really thrive in that role has been really cool. And, she's just very much a spark plug for us. She's very versatile. She gets on base a lot, obviously. And so she's been fantastic, almost flawless in the role that she's been playing for us. And, the confidence that she gives Carly Shelton in the 2-hole, and then even like our 9-hole hitter, Emily Vinson, has been talking about, as the game progresses, she feels like she hits in front of Q. Most of the time her job is to turn the lineup over. And so, just even hearing her talk about the confidence that she has to turn the lineup over with Q in that leadoff spot has been really cool. So doing a lot of things great, and got some big games coming up here this weekend, and then even next week as we go on the road for the first time.
Yeah, your numbers have been really remarkable, to be honest with you. I mean, I get it. Some of the programs that y'all have played, even though you wouldn't address it that way going into any of them, you should beat, and you've done that. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, the ERA's at 1.03. You're fielding at almost a 980 clip. I think the thing that stood out for me the most offensively, I know when you hit 355 as a team, that does stand out. But of 256 official at bats, y'all struck out just 25 times this year. Actually, that's wild. I mean, that's really, really, really good.
Yeah, I do have to give a lot of credit to our associate head coach, Katie Browder. She's our offensive coordinator and leads our offense. She's the decision maker on that side of the ball. And we have preached swing decisions. That is something that, we've really foundationally been preaching and really wanted to be about as an offense this year since August, since we started swinging together. And they've just been so good at the zone. They've been so good at, swinging at strikes, taking balls. And, you see our walks are really elevated and our strikeouts are really low. And so we just get on base a lot. And when you do that, you put yourself in a position to score a lot and score often. And, that's something internally we've been talking about, of just being really aggressive and taking all the opportunities that we can to score as often as possible. And so, yeah, I've been really proud of that. It's a good stat, here as we get into season.
Well, when you strike out 25 times, you walk 72, your on base percentage will be up, and it is up. It's literally right at 500. I've got two questions. So I brought my kids to y'all's second game of the year, and they were, they do enjoy baseball because of me, and they play baseball or coach pitch. Just wearing my arm out. But that was their first softball game. And so they now know you're Miss Ashley to them, even though you've never met them, but you're Miss Ashley to them. It's like Shane is Mr. Shane. They know that Dad talks to them, so they've got to address them correctly, right? So I asked them this morning, do you want me to ask Miss Ashley? She's going to be on my show today. Any questions? So I've got two questions from Hannah and Riley.
Okay.
One, this is from Hannah. Why is the ball yellow? And Riley wants to know why Cocky sits on the dugout and swings his feet in the players' faces.
Yeah, those are two great questions. I get those questions a lot, especially about the ball being yellow. The ball used to not be yellow. That actually, I had a meeting with Cindy Long, who was on the 1982, 1983 team. Like, she's helping me with some alumni connections. She's local here in Columbia, and so not too long ago, she came to my office and she brought me a ball from the 1982 team, I think it was. It's a no-hitter that she threw against an Orlando team. Everyone on the team signed it, so it's in my office, and it is slick. There are no seams on it. It is white. I'm like, yes, that's what it used to be like. But that's a great question. Over the years, it eventually turned to a yellow, optic yellow type of ball. It had everything to do with visual, being able to see the ball better. So it was visual. That's, I guess, the best answer I have. I really need to dig into exactly who made the decision and what was the deciding factor. And as far as Cocky goes, we reconfigured our dugout in the off season. So we have gates and it's much safer. It's, completely enclosed with the netting and stuff. That was something that our administration invested in the off season, which is great because it is a much safer place to be during the game. And so now Cocky has the ability to sit on top of the dugout and his feet go into the dugout. And it just kind of happened. He's high enough to where he doesn't hit anyone in the head, but he does sit there a lot, which is great, and interacts with, all of the chanting and just, camaraderie of the game as it goes on. We have been very adamant about Cocky not hitting our in-game camera, which is also on top of the dugout. I'm like, you can't hit the in-game camera. But yeah, Cocky's basically in the dugout with us. It's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun.
Phil, say goodbye to Ashley. This is the last time she'll ever want to be on with us, but taking questions like this. I was just doing my job as a parent, Ashley. I just had to have proof that I actually did what I was.
I'm just glad that I'm not the only, one out here whose kids are constantly asking Cocky questions. It's like, I don't know. We're watching a baseball game. I don't know why Cocky's sitting back there just lounging around behind home plate. Yeah. But I mean, why not?
Yeah. No, I get it. I have a 2-year-old niece, Audrey, who has been at many of our games so far, and she will continue to be there. She's on the front row. And so all she cares about also is Cocky. She has no idea what's going on. She just cares about where Cocky is all the time. So, it's important, these are important questions. We need to address them. So I appreciate them.
That's right. It's neat. It helps build that inside them, though, that identity with the school, right?
Yeah,
that will
no doubt.
eventually turn into pulling for the name on the front of the jersey as opposed to
Well, I made the mistake when they asked me, does Cocky fly? I said yes. And then after staring intently at Cocky for 3 innings, they asked, well, why hasn't he flown yet?
Yeah, that's right. Well, why is he not going anywhere, Dad?
Just kidding, kids. How about Jori Heard, who's she's thrown I guess almost half of y'all's innings this year, almost, and she's been phenomenal. What's working for her?
Honestly, she's throwing really hard right now. So we ramped her up really well in the off season, and just our experience so far with a lot of the offenses that we have faced is just late a lot. She's throwing a lot of fastballs, and she's hitting 70 miles an hour, which is those are personal records for her right now. She's experiencing velo that she hasn't experienced before. So it's been really fun to watch her throw because she's been throwing a ton of strikes, a lot of fastballs. She has a great changeup when we need it. But yeah, she has really good break profiles. Her ball moves a lot. It's in the zone a long time. So it's been really fun kind of seeing her take the role that she has, because I think she's somebody that has been kind of in the shadows a little bit the past couple seasons, or freshman and her sophomore year. Cause we've had really good arms here in the program the past couple seasons, and Elena Vaughter and, Donnie Goborn, and just some pitchers that have been really nationally highlighted. And so Jori's kind of taken on a backseat to those guys. And, we really challenged her when we took over the program this summer, getting into training in the fall, of like, hey, this is your time, that you're going to be in the spotlight. You're going to get the opportunities. She's better than she's ever been, right now. And she worked really hard in the off season. So it's really rewarding for me to see kind of it come to play for her, that she's, seeing the success that she is. And, obviously has a ton of confidence and ton of conviction in the circle right now. And as she should, because, she's been really lights out. So I'm really proud of the whole pitching staff. We've thrown them all out there in different opportunities at this point, in the first 11, and, they've handled it really well. We've seen a lot of success, and, our opponents are only going to keep getting stronger and harder as we go over these next couple weeks, which was very intentional on our end to kind of ramp up to SEC play. So I'm excited to see them take on the challenge of some really good hitting over the next 2 weeks.
Third straight Gamecocks softball hosted tournament coming up this weekend. If anybody would like to get out there, 5:00 first pitch tomorrow, and then a double dip on Saturday, 1 and 3:30, Sunday at 12:30. Boston University, Fordham is here, and UNLV. You'll play Boston the first two, then Fordham, UNLV on Sunday, and you can go see Jori pitch this weekend. I'm sure a couple of times.
Yes.
70 mile an hour in softball, 95 in baseball.
It's over 100. Mm-hmm.
Over 100?
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the equivalent is definitely 3 figures. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't want any part of that.
No.
We throw from 43 feet, so that's the distance from the pitching rubber to home plate. So it's just so close. You think about the base paths in softball are 60, and the pitching rubber is 43 feet. So it's just insanely hard.
Over 100. My high school / college girlfriend played. She went to Alabama her freshman year and got cut, and went across the street to Shelton State Community College and played, or junior college and played. She was a pitcher, and she was 60. I think she got up to 64, and then she ended up just moving to center field. But I tried to hit it once. I was like, dude, I don't want any part of this. You change your arm angle, and that close, it is damn hard to hit, as you well know, obviously. So what are you learning now? Because this is your first year here back at South Carolina, but as the head coach, obviously you have a bunch of players who are already in uniform here, and then you had to go to the portal, and then of course you got some high school signees. So it is obviously y'all been together since the fall, and you've got to know each other. I get it, but this is the first time that you're able to go out there and actually string together a bunch of games and see who is capable of doing what, and in what role, and are they accepting this role? Are they not accepting this role? So overall, your impression here after 11 games.
Yeah, I mean, they've really impressed me with the come from behind. We came from behind against North Carolina on Tuesday night, the first two Virginia games. And so I've learned a ton about them as a team. That was something the staff and I talked about going into the season of, hey, like we have some idea of what some people are going to be like and do. We've got some experience with some of the players that are going to play a lot for us. But I was just so like anticipating, okay, what are they going to do? How are they going to be? So learned a lot. And I think they're just super tough. They're super resilient. They have a really steady heartbeat, which I think is, a characteristic of a really good team. They don't make moments too big, maybe other than the top of the first of the start of the season. But after that was an outlier inning. They don't make moments too big. They don't ever count themselves out. I'm in the dugout the whole game because I don't coach a base. I call the game on the defensive side of the ball with Zach Parsons, our pitching coach. And, I make the changes offensively with the umpire. But, Katie Browder, Jody Davidson, and Zach Parsons, our staff, like they coach the bases. So I'm in the dugout constantly with them. And I've just been really impressed at just how mature they've been. Their approach is rock solid. They trust the plan. They have really high level communication about the pitching that they're facing. As their at bats progress through the game, they have a really great conversation in the dugout, super mature. Heart rate is super steady. Even like when we're down, we were down going into the fourth, fifth inning several times, the approach and the energy, the vibe, the belief, none of that changes. They just level up the way they're communicating and just really kind of a figure it out mentality. So they just don't ever count themselves out. And usually that is a character trait of a team that has been playing together a really long time and has, championship years. And, you've really built those qualities internally. And so I've just been so impressed that we have that already being in year one with this group. But if you really look at the roster, I know everyone's a new version of this team here, but we have a lot of experience, even other places, so I think you're really seeing that maturity and experience come through for us. And then we've been able to get freshmen in, to the games. We've got Shea Anderson and Audrey Wilson has caught some for us, and Chloe Lackey and Nia McKnight. Like those guys are getting opportunities to enter the game in because we have that free substitution rule in softball. So you can freely sub on a starter and the starter can re-enter once, which is great. So, I've learned a lot about them and just really impressed with their overall maturity and their mindset. And, we're having really great conversations internally, pre-scout meeting, they're just so hungry for information. They want to know exactly, what they're going to see, what they're going to face, and they're really using that information, not to overthink, but to really use it to their benefit to win. So it's been fun. It's we're trying to keep them very centered, because sometimes when you start having some success, that almost can be a distraction and kind of like you get numb to the things of like, okay, why were you successful the last 11 games? So we're just making sure we're continuing to talk about the process. And like we have a lot of little games within the game. Like we keep track of how many pitches our pitchers throw every inning. We have goals for that. They come off the field and know those things, and those things are really celebrated in the dugout when we do well. We're keeping track on how many times we get the leadoff out defensively, and then how many times we get the leadoff on offensively. There's a whiteboard in the dugout. They're keeping track of that through the game. So, there's just a lot of really great stuff happening, and they're buying into it, leaning into it 2 feet in. And I couldn't have really asked anything more from them so far.
One of the more critical stats in softball and baseball is the leadoff guy. And we were just talking about this, Phil, with the Carolina baseball the other day. They had given up at one point in time just 4 leadoff men in the first 25 innings of the season, which was phenomenal. Bobby, your question about radio coverage, there will be some radio coverage, I know, later on this season, but you can watch them. If you pull up the Gamecocks app or ESPN Plus, I know Cade Crenshaw has had some of these broadcasts up in the booth, and he's done a nice job, by the way. Good for Cade. But yeah, you can certainly watch the games. We've been watching them here at our house. All the players you just mentioned, no, I don't mean this at all disrespectfully. I know Quincy's getting a lot of the attention because of what she's been doing, but as a former catcher, it is always neat to see catchers do well. And Lexi Winters is something. Local kid, you had her at Charlotte. She comes back here with you. She's got to be living the dream putting that uniform on. And obviously she's swinging it well, and she handles your staff remarkably well.
Yeah, she does. I mean, she's an elite receiver. She's a really great communicator with the umpire, and those are just the intangibles of a catcher. So she's done really well. I think that she's just really, like you said, living her dream, putting the uniform on every day and getting behind the plate in this venue in front of her family and people that she grew up around. And just to see her have the success offensively, those big moments that she's had for us so far. I mean, she was the go-ahead, big hit on Tuesday night that broke it open for us. And, those are just those are moments that it's really hard to describe the emotion that I have for her in those moments. I mean, I'm just thrilled for her. I mean, almost brings tears to my eyes when it happens, because I'm just man, that's so storybook. And, it's the beauty of the game. As you guys know, it's sometimes the game gives that stuff back to you. And, I'm just so happy for her. And, Lexi is she's a perfectionist, most of the time that really fares well for her, that character trait of being just wanting to be so elite at her craft and so nitpicky. And, she works on receiving all the time. How can she manipulate her glove? How can she manipulate the ball? Every strike is a strike, and we get balls called strikes all game. And, that's a huge difference for us in being able to convert counts into our favor and get momentum and counts. And, so she's just a huge piece of the puzzle. And she's just such a good person. I mean, even yesterday, she is a junior, and she's going to graduate undergrad early, and she's going to grad school, within her 4 years of eligibility here. And, she's just so high level. She's, we were talking last night about what program she's wanting to get in. And, she's just got her ducks in a row, and she's just trying to, do everything at a really, high level. And I think that shows up for her on the field. She's just, and her parents are awesome. They've been awesome to our staff and just so supportive of what we're doing. And, they're here a lot. You'll see them pretty much every game we play. And they just support her. They just support her. They don't put extra pressure on her, which, sometimes is a rarity, in the stands when you have people there all the time. So, but she's definitely been a highlight for sure.
She's hit a couple out of the yard. Carly's hit a couple out of the yard. Ariana has hit 3, right? Is that your power? That's where the power's coming from there, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think Ella Chansey and Brooke Blankenship, I mean, they have pop, but, they're just people that are on base a lot. So we're just trying to put them in position to get on base a lot. But yeah, I think Carly Shelton had no walks the first weekend. And then all of a sudden she's got 8 or 9 walks on the year within a week, a span, seeing the zone really well. And I got a lot of questions after week 1 about Roadi, because she didn't hit super well the first weekend. She was kind of the one in the lineup, I think, that really, probably underperformed from people's expectations, because her name is on the offense, this year, because she was an All-American last year. And, I just told, a couple of the questions I got about him, she just needs a little time. When you have a really big year offensively, there's a ton of hype and expectation on what's to come for you that following season. And so we've just been really working with her on just making sure she doesn't put too much pressure on herself, that she sticks with, just the things that make her really good. And so I think over the past week, I really started to see her have the at-bats that I was used to seeing her have. So she's flushing up the ball really well, obviously has hit a couple out. And the thing with Ari is that they go to the moon and then come down, usually. It's I think the ball was in the air for 6 seconds the other night before it went out. I mean, it was, you lost it in the dark. So just a ton of power. And, those guys give us a chance every time they're in the box, which is, really powerful.
It's the first weekend. You're gonna have, things are gonna happen. You figure it out. I always love the first, second, third weekend freakouts. Just give it some time.
Yeah.
How about the support and the atmosphere and everything that you're feeling around the program? I mean, we can very confidently tell you we feel it here. And it wasn't here before you got here. It just wasn't, actually. Obviously it's one of the reasons you're here, and that's not disrespect to Coach Bev or anybody, but it just was where it was. And we get softball questions literally every day. I don't even know how to answer them. That's why you're here. But it does seem it does seem to me that the fan base has embraced this new era led by you. Last weekend, I spent the whole weekend over at the baseball field. I apologize for not getting over to see you, but and just having conversations with Coach Tanner and Coach Lake and media guys, Coach Maneri. How about that softball team? I feel it. You've got to feel it.
Yeah, for sure. We feel it. I've gotten so many calls and messages and people reaching out, and then our sport administrator Hillary Cox, who does such a good job with the program, and really with her entire plate that she's in charge of here at Carolina, she does such a great job. And she's been telling me she's been getting a lot of questions and interest, and we've seen a lot of financial support. So we're so grateful for that to the program, because we started our Diamond Club membership in December, and so I think people are just really excited about the team. And just in my experience, people want to show up and they want to watch a really good product, whether it's on the court, on the field, wherever. They want to connect with the players. They want to get to know the players. They want to show up and, just watch a good product play. And, we've got so many really great personalities on the team and on the field, and really good people, and we've had a really hot start here. So I feel it. It's much appreciated and really exciting for us that people are, starting to pay attention to what we're doing. That's exactly what we want. And we've had good crowds. We had really good crowds the first weekend. Tuesday night was tough because the weather was not great. It was kind of cold and a little bit rainy. That's why we moved it up, from Wednesday to Tuesday. But it's definitely felt, Coach Tanner and I, we have a really special relationship, and, obviously very grateful for him and everything that he's done for South Carolina. I snuck over to his field dedication. I did. Hillary and I snuck over because we did pregame scout meeting, and then the team went into the cages to do our hit warm up, and we drove over for the 15 minutes of just, being able to see him and his family on the field and all his former players. I think there was probably 100 people on the field. It was so cool. And, I got my commemorative baseball card as I walked through the door. I'm like, these are the things you need. So, and he's been to a couple games. He's been to a couple games. I see him up there in the booth. And, Jeremiah Donati, our new AD, has been to multiple games, and I hear from him regularly, which is much appreciated. And Paul and I, Coach Maneri and I are buds. We text each other. Obviously they've had a great start, and, just the legend that he is. When you're friends with Ray Tanner and Paul Maneri, I mean, you've got a ton of really great mentorship around you. Those guys are the best in their business. And, obviously I'm married to a baseball coach. So, it's just been great. The support has been overwhelming, and I'm just really excited for the program and the team, to feel that kind of support, because, sometimes I think the outside world, you don't realize that the team feels it. It's not just me, right? The girls, like the people that are in the uniform right now, like taking the field, like they feel the support and just the love on social. And so it's been great. It's been great. And, we just want to continue and fill the stands up, as it gets warmer, we get into SEC play. I think we're going to have some really exciting atmospheres.
Oh, there's no question. The weather has sucked. Let's be honest. The last couple of weeks, it has been really crappy. And it's going to be nice this weekend. It's going to be chilly, but the sun will be out. We can handle that. 13 straight in 2023 was Coach Bev had the Gamecocks win 13 straight. Y'all won 11 to open the season. This is the longest winning streak to open the season at the University of South Carolina since 1996. They won 12 straight that year. In that 12th game, they beat Oklahoma 2-1. So, of course, I was telling Phil yesterday that was the year before they went 63-5.
Right.
Yeah, that was the year before the 97 team. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Do you how many alumni from that era do you know?
Quite a few. Yeah, quite a few. And I've heard from so many of them. And that's another part of the support that has just been incredible for me is just, I mean, I hear from alumni from the 82, 83 team to, the 92, 93 team to the 96, 97 team and the early 2000s. And then you start getting into my time and, just hearing from my former teammates. And I just hired Carson Oakes as our director of operations. And, she just was in the program. And so we just, the alumni support is very strong, and they've been in the stands. People have come to games already that, are somewhere local, within hours of the stadium that can come and watch us. And we're planning a fantastic alumni weekend for the Ole Miss series in April. And so it's been great. I hear from a lot of them. I was actually coached by Tina Plew, Tina Plew Whitlock was my high school coach. And she was in that time, that 96, 97 time. She was on those teams and played for Joyce Compton. And I know Tiff Tootle really well. She was on the 92, 93 team. And, she's been to a couple games at this point. Coach Compton has been there. She's been in the stands. I look up and see her. Wow. So it's been cool. It kind of feels a little bit like, very connecting. There's a lot of like history and, old times that are starting to come back, and just feels very connected right now.
Well, you've just done an incredible job, and obviously there's going to be some bumps in the road somewhere. You might play the most difficult schedule in the country. Who knows? It's up there. But that's what you get in the SEC. That's what you sign up for. So you're going to have some tremendous weekends and opportunities to go out and do some awesome things here. We cannot wait to continue to watch it. What'd you say to Woody after you beat his Tar Heels the other night?
Yeah. He
that's her husband, for anybody wondering.
Yes,
Robert Woodard.
Yeah, that's always an interesting conversation. I mean, Robert is all about South Carolina softball. He's our number one fan. So, he definitely was, good with the results. But, as we're very close with North Carolina baseball. I mean, Scott Forbes was in our wedding. Scott Jackson was in our wedding. I mean, just the history, Mike Fox, very close with Robert. So definitely a lot of Tar Heel in my family, but we just try to like push that, to the side when, the matchup happens. But obviously Robert wants us to win every game we play. So
I hope so.
He was on board. Yeah.
He didn't have any choice. No.
It was a good night. Honestly, it was a good night for our household because he played at Wofford. So they were up at Wofford and beat Wofford 4-2. And, we beat North Carolina here. So it was very fun conversation post game for us when that matches up. It was good.
Well, I know the two of you travel so much. Do they play at home Tuesday? Do they play next Tuesday? Because you go to Charlotte. You return to Charlotte. Yes. Is he going to be there?
Yeah, they play. They have a home game Tuesday night.
Okay.
We start at 5. So we'll see if I can catch the last few innings when we're done. Because, usually we're done a little bit earlier. But the pitch clock, both games have sped up significantly in the past couple seasons. But we'll see if I can catch.
Do you like that?
I do a lot. Yeah. I like the pace of the game right now. And my style from a pitching standpoint is I push our pitchers to have fast pace. I'm like, we need to be on defense a really short amount of time and be on offense a really long amount of time. So I'm on them about just making sure that we're getting the ball out like 6-7 seconds left on the clock. We need to be getting the ball to the plate. So that's something that we emphasize, but I love it. I never go back to this long, 2.5 softball and then over 3 hours for baseball. It's like I'm on board with the new.
Yeah, there's been some long games in baseball, that's for sure. Oh, final one. We'll get you out of here. You got to, go to work. Next Tuesday, though, I'm curious as to how you'll embrace that. I know that Charlotte is very special to you.
Yeah, it is. It's a special place. And, obviously spent some really great years there and means a lot to me. But it's business, at the end of the day. And, we're going up there with one mentality, and that's to win and to beat, Charlotte in the game that we're playing. And we've got some players that played there for me. And, I coached a lot of the players that are still on the team, so we'll just have some internal conversation about, hey, it's business, put your emotions aside. It's just another opponent. It's, the first time that we're on the road. It's kind of just how it shook out this year. That was not planned or it wasn't intentional on our end. It's just the way the schedule fell last summer. when Courtney and I decided to keep the game on the schedule. And so it's business as usual. We're going up there with one intention, and that's to win. And, I think our players will be fine. Like once they get off the bus and, we're really familiar with the venue and the playing surface, so that will work to our advantage. So it's just another game on the schedule with the same intention, emotions aside once the game begins.
After that, it's a trip to Durham. 13th ranked Duke will welcome the Gamecocks to town. And that should be a top 25 matchup when it's played. So that'll be something there. You'll be able to watch all these games if you'd like on this weekend SEC Network Plus, Charlotte ESPN Plus, ACC Network Plus next weekend, and so on and so forth. It is always so good to see you. We're so happy for you. 11-0. This is just tremendous, and it's going to be hopefully a tremendous weekend at the ballpark as well. And we encourage all of our fans and audience to get out there and watch your ladies play. It's going to be good weather, no rain this weekend. So go out and watch them play, right?
Yeah. It'll be a little cold tomorrow night, I think, for the 5 p.m. game. It'll be a Reels feel, I think it's going to be in the high 40s, mid 40s, but it'll feel like that. So as